They say a wise man climbs Mount Fuji once. Only a fool climbs it twice. This is the story of me climbing Mount Fuji twice. Hey everyone, it's John. Welcome to the channel. I talk about lots of different topics in clear, natural English. Maybe something good for intermediate learners. このチャンネルはいろんなトピックを優しい自然な英語で話します。中級者にとってはいいリスニングだと思います。Let's go! So today we're talking about climbing Mount Fuji, Fuji-san. Have you ever climbed Mount Fuji? If not, have you ever been to the area where you can see a nice view of Mount Fuji? Mount Fuji really is one of Japan's most beautiful and amazing natural wonders. And if you haven't been, I highly recommend it. It is Japan's tallest mountain and volcano. You can climb it. It is open to the public, but only between July and September each year, only in the summertime. I think you can climb it outside of that season, but you would need some kind of special permit to show that you know what you're doing. There are 5 official hiking trails on Mount Fuji, 4 of which are trails to climb the mountain, and the 5th one is called Ohachi Meguri, which is a trail going around the summit. When I climbed it, I took the Yoshida Trail, which I believe is the most beginner-friendly, the most common trail that people use. It takes between 5 and 10 hours, and for me personally it took about 7 to 8, so I'd say that's pretty accurate. If you climb Mount Fuji in one go, it's known as a bullet climb, but some people want to break up the journey and they will stay somewhere overnight and continue the next day. So let me tell you about the time I decided to climb. I went with a group of, there were 4 of us, and we decided one weekend to climb Mount Fuji. This was in the beginning of September, so it was very close to the end of the season. We decided to leave it till the last minute and just go for it, no planning. We took a bus from Tokyo to the 5th station for the Yoshida Trail, which would get us there ready to start climbing at about 8 p.m. This is quite a common way of doing it, so that hopefully you are by the summit for sunrise, which is of course why a lot of people go. We were warned that the weather was maybe not going to be ideal, but we decided to go for it anyway. When we arrived, it was raining very heavily. We stayed in a little cabin where we had a meal and got, the rest of the supplies that we needed before we started, hoping that the rain would kind of ease down. But as we started, we knew that it wasn't really going to get better. A lot of the people at the cabin had decided to turn back. We asked, is it okay for us to climb anyway? And we were told by staff, yeah, you can. You're very persistent, aren't you? We'd taken the bus all the way here. We had to wait a long time for another bus to take us back. So we decided we wanted to just climb. We didn't want to go home saying we didn't even try. So we thought, let's start climbing a little bit, then we can say we've done it. But the further up we got, the more we wanted to keep going. We were wearing our waterproof clothing, headlamps. Sometimes we couldn't see our own hands in front of us by the time we actually started on the trail. So I said at the beginning, I climbed it twice, so I think you can see where this story is going. After we got to about the 8th station, so probably about halfway or more, we were firstly we were exhausted, but the main reason we decided to stop and go back was because of our feet. Our socks had gotten wet. The first time I went, I did not pack any extra socks. Our toes were starting to go numb. I could not feel anything in my toes, and of course that's very dangerous. To try and keep my feet dry, I used plastic bags to put my feet inside and then put my wet socks over the top of them and then my boots over them. That was the point where we decided, yeah, we can't really continue this. That's about half of the story. I'd like to stop now and ask you some questions. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and try to answer out loud, see how well you do. Question 1. Which trail did I use to climb Mount Fuji? I used the Yoshida Trail. How many people were in my group that climbed? There were 4 of us. A little harder. What is it called if you climb Mount Fuji in one go without stopping overnight? Yep, it's called a bullet climb. Alright, good job, let's keep going. So a few days after that, I got a message from one of the friends in the group, and it simply said, "Wanna try again?" And I was very happy I got that message because the answer was yes, I did. And I was even thinking about asking the group myself, do you want to try again? So the weekend coming up was the last weekend that you could do the trail before it closed for the season. So there wasn't really a lot of time to recover, but I went out, I bought some more supplies, and just the 2 of us, we went on the bus and went to the 5th station again. And the second time round, the weather was much better. It was clear, we could see where we were going. We met up with another person who was traveling solo. We kind of teamed up, the 3 of us. We kept going up. We did take breaks quite regularly, partly because I'm not that athletic, but also because of the altitude sickness. It's strongly advised not to go up too much too quickly. This is why a lot of people decide to stay overnight. So we kept going, and after the kind of halfway point between the 5th station and the summit, you start to go above the clouds, and that's when you can see the stars so clearly. That's when all of the effort starts to become worth it, because every time you take a break, you can just look up and just have an amazing view. Again, it took us about 7 to 8 hours. We allowed ourselves plenty of time because of, what happened last time, and our idea of how long it would take was based on that. So when we got to the top, we had to wait about 2 to 3 hours before sunrise. Now, by the time we got to the top, it was freezing cold. Luckily, I had lots of layers, but even with those, I was very cold. We tried to have a little nap, but I couldn't sleep at the top for 2 reasons. Firstly, the cold. Secondly, the night sky. I just couldn't and didn't want to sleep. I just could have stared at that night sky forever. It's to date the most beautiful view I've ever seen. I was looking up, I could see countless stars, I could see shooting stars, and it took me a while to work out what it was, but I could even see satellites, like man-made satellites in the sky. They were moving, not as fast as shooting stars, but you could see them kind of flashing and going across the sky. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was possible, but it blew my mind. And then sunrise came, also incredibly beautiful. Not as impressive as the stars. The sun coming up was kind of blocked by clouds a little bit, so you couldn't see the full, red rising sun image that you have of Japan. After the sun rose a little bit more, the way the light was shining on the clouds, that was the most beautiful part. It made the clouds look like they were from some kind of fairy tale. It was just a complete sea of clouds. They were completely covering the sky, looking down at them. Okay, time for a few more questions. First question, true or false, the weather was better the second time? Yes, it was much better. Second question, what did I see for the first time in the night sky? I saw man-made satellites. And last question, what were the 2 reasons I couldn't sleep at the top? It was cold and the view was too beautiful not to look at it. The last thing I'd like to say once again is if you have the chance to go to Mount Fuji just to view it or to climb it, do it. It's one of the most beautiful things in Japan. I hope you enjoyed the new format of listening, then checking what you heard, and then listening again. I hope it allowed you to improve your active listening skills rather than just listening to me for the whole time. How many questions did you get right? Please let me know in the comments below. Please tell me if they were too easy, too difficult, how they were for you. And that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.